I got to see my son for a minute yesterday. Yes, he's looking good. You're doing good with him. Hi. How are you? Good. Where's the road? He's, there's trouble on the road. He's gonna be delayed, but he will be coming this six. Okay. Might not be good. Next is, but it is more. Yeah, just for. Oh, okay, sure. Hi. Hello. How are you guys? Good.
What is John talking
Just don't start schooling at us.
Oh, he was really nice to me. You kidding?
Got him, coach. Got him.
Say, there's a number here. He tells the inspector he don't need it.
Yeah. He knows that. He knows there's a legal meeting too, but he don't give a rat's that.
Wait for the cops here, we'll see if I can have them arrested. All of them.
Yeah. Good.
All of them. I still got, hey, Lucy's staying over here.
How's that? I noticed that, I saw that. You're trying to be smart and sarcastic.
Good. Yourself?
I'll do the thing again. I don't know how much they cost to do this thing.
Whatever you want to get rid of her.
Oh, well, I can do the fire
What movie did you watch?
Oh, wait a minute here now.
Why? Oh, him? Them?
Names on the thing.
What the hell are you looking at? Espérate, tobacco está no espérate, tobacco está no
Must be some video on YouTube for that one.
That might be like his ego.
Detangle this stuff when we get home. When you get to a certain point, it just all wraps up.
Before we get started, or before you get started, I should say, I have some documents for you. I'm going to make a public announcement because the board meeting has not started. It's my responsibility as fire chief to notify you that your special meeting scheduled for this date is in violation of multiple Arizona revised statutes. Director Carl Hayes appears to not be a legal resident of the fire district. The attached letter from Mojave County P&Z states that this is a commercial occupancy with no evidence that it is being used as a residence. Mr. Hayes falsely represented that he is a representative of this district to secure a seat on the board with the obvious knowledge of this fact by Director Collins and Bailey. Mr. Berg was required to file his original oath of office with the district office. It appears he did not file his oath of office as required with the district prior to the last meeting. As such, he should have not been permitted to participate. It should be noted that he was advised by this board secretary to return the oath to her, which he never did. During the preparation of the agenda for this meeting, Director Bailey neglected to work with either myself or the board secretary. If queried, either one of us could have told him the agenda was not properly prepared. As he made the statement at the last meeting, which was also an illegal meeting due to Mr. Hayes' non-residency, that he would prepare the agenda. Mr. Bailey seems to have forgotten that he was required to offer an executive session for personnel matters under ARS 38-431.03A1. Under the same statute, any employee matter being discussed must include a 24-hour notification letter regarding personnel matters. As neither the session was agendized properly, nor was I notified with a Title 38 letter, you may not discuss any personnel matter regarding my employment. Please consider this my official notification that I refuse to waive my rights to discuss this matter in open session. I notified Mr. Bailey last week of the violation of open meeting laws in which Bailey, Collins, Hayes, and Berg were recorded discussing conflicts of interest. I provided Mr. Bailey with a copy of the recording and forwarded it to the Attorney General and Mojave County Attorney. I find it ironic that I was indicted for actions that this board is clearly in violation of. According to Mr. Hayes, in a public statement on 5/21/18, witnessed by Battalion Chief Scott at a CAMA meeting in the industrial park, he is involved in high-level talks with the city of Kingman. He also advised me on 5/3/18 that he had been in discussion with the city manager. Mr. Hayes also notified Mr. Smaby of Mojave County P&Z yesterday, 5/21, that the district was going to utilize a City of Kingman Fire Department member as interim chief. This is once again a violation of open meeting laws. I recall no meetings in which the board authorized Mr. Hayes was authorized to speak on behalf of the district. Regarding retention of legal counsel, I believe that if board members negotiated for counsel without direction to staff, particularly in regards to hiring or contracting an attorney, that we have yet another open meeting law violation. Regarding the letter from Kingman Fire Chief Jake Rhodes sent to Bailey and Collins, I demand an immediate investigation of Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Collins in an apparent attempt to discredit me. I have documentation where I attempted to meet Jake on several matters of concern in which he refused to meet with me prior to last week's letter. This investigation needs to be conducted by a non-biased entity at the expense of the district. I find it highly unusual that Mojave County Attorney's Office investigators Steve Auld and Lyman Watson, both Arizona peace officers, have witnessed multiple felonies committed by this board, yet take no action to stop or file on these activities. Another law enforcement officer that witnessed the crimes committed by this board has turned in a report to the Arizona Attorney General's office on 5/21/18. Please consider this your official notification that Mark Bronovich, Arizona Attorney General, has been personally notified of your alleged illegal activities, including evidence of Mr. Hayes' possible illegal appointment as a board member. As you were notified last week by me, as an elected official, one can be held criminally and civilly liable for your actions. I have filed complaints with the Arizona Attorney General, Arizona Ombudsman, and have requested an injunction against harassment from the Mojave County Justice Court against Mr. Collins and Mr. Bailey. These individuals will receive notification from the court this week. You were also notified that last week that due to your continued actions, I've submitted a workers' compensation claim against the district, and on 5/22/18, the district's worker compensation doctor has placed me off duty for stress for a 7-day period, which must be evaluated weekly while the doctor and workers' compensation development treatment plan. I've attended this illegal meeting under extreme duress in an attempt to properly guide this fire district, which is being destroyed by the actions of our current board. As this meeting is in a violation of multiple statutes, I'm unable to participate as I'm currently under indictment. I'll be leaving the meeting at the end of the statement to keep me from participating in the continued illegal activities of this board as I can ill afford. All the evidence is attached for you. As such, you've been notified by staff. You may not have this meeting.
Oh, Mr. Eder?
No.
Oh,
So it's fine for him to move on.
oh, I just wondered if you understood what a lie was.
Okay, it's Wednesday, May 23rd, 2018. Special meeting of the Northern Arizona Consolidated Fire District will now be called to order. It is 6 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Collins here.
Bailey, sir.
Bird here.
Okay, we have just 3 things on the agenda. They're all discussion of possible action items. First one is retention of legal counsel. This was actually brought up 3 meetings ago by Director Patty Lewis and Wayne Everett, Fire Chief, that they were actually searching for outside counsel. Does anybody have anything they want to actually,
Well, I'll say I reached out to Bill Whittington to follow up with if he'd be interested in serving as our legal counsel. He submitted a letter. I also reached out to Charlotte, and I had some printing issues. She submitted a proposal as well, Charlotte Wells, who was our former legal representation. So I'll have to. Like I said, I had some printing issues on that one.
okay.
So I don't know if we need to table this until I get her printed out, or if, I've got it. Here's the first page, but ultimately I had some printing issues, so I'd say we table this until, and we get hers as well.
Okay. That's fine. We have a motion and a second to table.
I just said we should table it until we get Charlotte's.
Motion seconded.
I can move. Move that we table the legal representation until we get more information.
Second, okay. No motion second to table this item until next meeting. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is item B, continued employment of Wayne Eder as fire chief. We'll just open it up for discussion.
I've also presented you with a letter from Chief Jake Groves concerning a few incidents that concern life safety and training issues. I believe the 3rd page summarizes it all up. That was sent to Wayne, Bailey, and myself.
As far as I'm concerned, this letter alone is more than enough justification for termination. my experience in a relatively short period of time, and when I knew him before, willingness to say anything, make it up as he goes along, and just out and out lies, which he did last week. I don't know of any board who would tolerate a CEO that behaves that way, so this was the finest straw to me.
Actually, just to bring the public up to speed on this, it's a memo from the City of Kingman Fire Chief Jake Rhodes to Fire Chief Wayne Etter and myself and Mike. Basically what it says is incident at 2900 Snavely involved engine 231 from the city and Battalion Chief Williams. In this particular event, defensive operations were underway, however, no water supply had been established. Kingman Fire Department exited their assigned duties due to lack of water and were informed that the NACFD water tender would supply water for them. Upon arrival, the tender did not have water in its tank. Battalion Chief Williams, who was assigned incident safety officer, ordered engine 231 to lay out approximately 600 feet of large diameter hose to establish water supply, as it was not being established by the NACFD personnel. There was a tender that responded from NACFD, and when it showed up on scene, it was empty. I don't know if that has actually been investigated and there's been any kind of determination as to what the reasoning was for that. That was a huge screw up on our staff's part. I believe there are policies to the fact that first arriving engine with a working structure fire, you lay in your supply hose so you don't have to worry about running out of water like that. And then to have a tanker show up with no water is inexcusable. In another incident, a 4820 Casey Lane, Chief Rhodes actually says at 4828 Casey Lane on December 23rd, 2017, Battalion Chief King assigned Porter Williams as operations chief under the premise that he wanted him to run the incident, but stated that he officially passed command, if he officially passed command to Battalion Chief Williams, he would get in trouble based on previous direction from you. Based on availability of personnel and varying levels of training, another KFD unit was dispatched to the scene to assist. That incident also looks like working interior with an active, the crews were working interior fire with active fire in the attic. And when the engineer from Kingman Fire Department mounted the NACFD apparatus to take over the engineer status for that engine, he noticed a blinking low level light for the water, and he brought it to the attention of Battalion Chief King, who stated that it was broken, and shortly thereafter engine 231 crew communicated that they were out of water, and Engineer Schrade then had to initiate shuttle operations. So these are like some huge life safety issues, and I don't know if according to our staff here, it doesn't look like there's been too much of an investigation into this. It appears that after our last meeting, I told Wayne I would actually go downtown and try to find out what happened with the oaths of office. And Wayne actually happened to be in the office of the elections department while I was down there. So instead of, in my opinion, instead of Wayne being out here taking care of matters like this that are threats to life safety and certainly policies that have been neglected completely, he's actually more interested in causing problems for his board than he is for being out here doing his job. I think that's a huge, it's kind of an eye-opener for me anyway. I think he should be out here while he's worried about his job, not trying to cause problems for us. He's been attacking us nonstop for the last year. Everything he has said against us is totally fabricated. There's no truth to any of it. Don't interrupt again. You will be removed.
I'll do my own.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to say about this letter? Any concerns?
Well, I think Wayne's made it pretty clear he can't work with this board. Ultimately, this board is responsible for the employment of the chief.
He did communicate that at the last meeting when he wrote his statement, or his
Correct.
memo.
So that's my opinion, is that he can't work with this board.
Actually, along with that also, I kind of find it interesting that in the history of all this, Wayne has never actually made the comment that he wants to keep his job or that he wanted to work with us. And we've had nothing but constant threats of criminal complaints, lying accusations that have no proof or any kind of substance to them. There's been a lot of accusations made, and there has never once been any kind of proof given along with his accusations. He just stands up here and makes a lot of accusations at us, and then he leaves and expects somebody to take action when there's like, he doesn't supply any information. I think that's a problem.
This letter that he just supplied tonight, where he accused me of having high-level talks about behind somebody's back, apparently. I'm not quite understanding this. It was me alone, so how is there a violation of open meeting law? And I did tell Jason Scott that I'd been talking with high-level civic officials, and it was about the proposals that had been in the paper to annex the industrial park. And that's not anywhere near something that the city is ready to do. They have no money to provide roads, fire, and police for the industrial park. They get no sales tax from the industrial park. The city lives on sales tax. So this is just a false fear that's been spread around. I don't know by who, but that was the issue that I told Scott about. The other one was that there was a building over there that is being demolished that could have been burned as a training project. Unfortunately, that KAA issued that contract before there was a chance to kill it, and it would have been a very good training program. So that didn't happen. But those are the things I talked to Mr. Scott about. How that turned into a violation of an open meeting law is beyond me. I actually asked him to go look at the building at the time. I didn't find out the next day until there's no way to get out of that contract.
Actually, at the last meeting also, just to kind of note also, Wayne did tell us that he was training a lot of our staff in EMR and getting them certified in EMR. I did go by the hospital on Monday, and I checked with Heather Miller, who is our EMS coordinator for all emergency services in this area. And she did tell me fact that our hospital does not recognize EMRs. They don't recognize anything under an EMT level. So by having EMRs employed here, they're putting our paramedics at risk. They're putting the citizens that they're actually taking care of at risk. They do not meet the qualifications of an EMT. They are far below that. They're kind of basically a glorified first responder or a first aid responder is all. It's like going to American Heart Association and taking a first aid class is about all they're able to do. They can't administer oxygen or anything else. You can't even perform CPR at that point unless you go take a citizen's class on CPR and get certified. So that was a complete falsehood that he told us last meeting. And not only does our base hospital not recognize EMRs, neither does the state of Arizona. So by having people who are certified are in the EMR class, who have been, if they are certified or not, to have them come into the city on mutual aid or automatic aid violates those agreements because they're supposed to be EMTs or above. And so that actually puts those agreements at jeopardy also. And we can't have that. That actually puts a lot of paramedics at risk. That puts the public at risk, and that is actually not acceptable. We were going to go through this paragraph by paragraph, but since Wayne's not here to be able to answer, I was just going to ask him one thing about, I don't think that when he mentioned, Carl mentioned at the last meeting that he did not make the comment that he believed there was a fire setter that Wayne was harboring. However, that's what we were told in the meeting, and I was just curious if, because these arson fires have been going on for approximately the last 3 or 4 years. They picked up a little bit over the last year or so, but I don't think that in order for Wayne to be harboring someone, I think he would have to live at your address. I doubt he's lived at your address for the last 4 years. So if you've been living there and he hasn't been living with you, I find it hard to believe that he would be harboring you, because he would have to be providing you aid knowing that you're a fugitive, like, unless
He
you
turned me in, when he said it to him, he turned me in.
Who did?
Wayne,
Wayne turned you in?
he told the investigator that he made the statement that I was the arsonist. He had, by law, he has to tell him, so he told him.
Well, that's what I wanted to find out, is if.
He's over there running his mouth about
Well, I
saying I
wanted
was
to find out-
arsonist and I wasn't.
I wanted to find out if Carl actually named you, or if he just said.
He said Arthur Garnica, he lives in your house,
No,
he's
I
an
didn't-
arsonist.
No, I didn't say that at all. I said I have heard from a lot of
You're
people.
not allowed to be on the board.
Suspicions of you.
Well, actually, the only reason I said that.
I don't care what he said.
No, I'm
I
saying.
didn't say that to him.
Planning and zoning said you don't live there. You said you don't live there.
I do live there.
You do?
Yeah, and the county was out yesterday.
I know, I just talked to them today. They gave me this paper saying you do not live there. You wanna read it?
Yeah, then I want to read it. I'm there
You read it.
at least 20 hours a day.
Okay, actually,
So you are legally on this board, you do not live there, they said there's no living quarters, there's no
That's correct.
beds.
okay, hold on, we're not gonna debate it.
Well, I'm out of here. I want something that's a living quarter. It's illegal, you're not supposed to be here,
Okay.
you say you don't live there.
You can leave.
You can
Liar.
leave. I'll keep this. It settles the issue, doesn't it?
Okay, anyway, actually, he just said that Wayne hadn't lived there, so I kind of find it hard to believe that Wayne could have been harboring a fugitive if he didn't live at the address for the last 4 years. So anyway, other than that, I've been accused of contacting Battalion Chief Jason Scott and Battalion Chief Tim King.
I'll cut you off there, Jim. I think all this stuff's irrelevant, and basically it just shows that Wayne doesn't want to or has no interest in working with this current board.
That's true. Okay, actually, I was just saying they're all false. This whole paper actually is false, so does anybody else have anything else? Or do we want to entertain a motion?
You know, I would just say that, he's been noted as saying as well that this job sucks, this county sucks, and, this district sucks. And while showing no interest in being a part of the board or trying to be a part of the board and part of what's happening here, just shows a lack of communication, responsibility, and integrity to me.
That motion?
Yeah, I move we terminate his employment forthwith, immediately. Since his contract is at will, and legally it's arguable that he doesn't have a contract anymore. I think right away, he's not here. It should be right now.
With cause, without cause?
I think there's plenty of cause.
Okay, so we basically have a motion to terminate employment of Wayne Etter as fire chief immediately with cause. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Have anything? You guys have anything? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is as needed appointment of an interim fire chief. We've used Tim King twice in the past. Unless anybody else has anything further. I know the city of Kingman has reached out with their services of their chief to give Tim King a hand if he needs it, or the battalion chiefs, whoever we might actually need to have fill that position. We want to use Tim or
Who would be the legal chief?
Tim King. Which that causes us backfill, but that's minimal amount of money.
I'll make the motion. That Tim is our interim, he's worked with the budgets, worked with them in the past.
Okay, would you still be able to get the budgeted on time?
I think we can.
You do the preliminary by the first.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and second to appoint Tim King, Battalion Chief Tim King, to interim fire chief. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now is time for board member comments, announcements, direction to staff, requested reports, agenda items for future meetings or scheduling the special meetings. Anybody have anything?
Yeah, I do. I went through the policy manual, and which I guess at one time was called the bylaws. And there's, I know that we want to get the lawyer to go through that and bring it up to date as far as compliance with state law. You know, there's a lot of discretionary things in there and really what I would call policy rather than legal things. So I think we should have a workshop and cover everything we can identify as a question mark before we give it to the lawyer and ask him to draw it up.
Okay. Also, if we have to have our preliminary budget actually approved by the end of the month, we probably need to figure out a meeting time for next week. Do we want to do it on Thursday, which would be the 31st? Is the last day we can do it? How much time do you need?
Yeah, 31st.
We'll do it on Thursday,
Yeah.
6 o'clock?
Yeah, on that agenda, we need to have the legal.
Is this a workshop or a regular meeting?
It'll be the special meeting again for we have to have the preliminary budget actually put done by that time. In the resolution, we also need
To approve the preliminary budget?
I believe we need like a resolution. I'm gonna have to check with Charlotte, but actually I'll I'll find out from Charlotte what it is for, she reminded me about the preliminary budget needs to be adopted or posted anyway, by the end of the month, by Tuesday. So I'll find out what else she needed, and then I'll let you know.
I didn't think it was June first.
Yeah, so we have to do our final adoption, I think, in June, that's got to be posted. Or tentatively approved in June, and then posted by the August or July. So we're actually cutting it down, we need to get the date. Everything else? Everything else? All left is adjourned.
Motion for me. Motion to adjourn, second.
A motion and a second to adjourn.
Get a good picture again. I just want to let you guys all know that he does not live in our district. He don't pay taxes to our district. I went to the planning and zoning. They told me today in planning and zoning that he told them himself he don't live in our district. He don't live out there at the airport. So, who's telling the truth? Planning and zoning or this guy?
How do you even?
It's a legal board meeting. This is illegal.
Yep.
And that's more than.
Jim Bailey was talking about stuff that was on the agenda, wasn't even on the agenda. Another violation.
Yes. And it was the 4821. When he was talking to Casey, when he was talking about the fire at 4820. This needs to be investigated. That was the governor. This was one report. I'm just saying. I was right here. No, he said it wasn't. I'm just saying it needs to. That's all. No, but I'm saying they said that.
There was a lot of issues.
How are you going?
I mean, there was, you know, when you get that sewer, you got one guy. Trust me, it's like,
It's incredible.
You want to do that?
How are you?
Until the translated.
I didn't read that.
It was a modular home. The people were home when the fire started. I know my neighbors.
This was a paper correct, that these are the two rooms.
Oh, hanging in there, yeah.
Put it out, and then they left, put it back behind. under control.
Well, it was a husband and wife that lived there, and the neighbor next door came and made sure they got out. Because the trucks were there, and they saved that home. There were 5 trucks there.
Oh, actually,
And I spoke to either the Italian guy or the investigator, because one of the neighbors said they thought they saw somebody running from there. So I told the investigator, so they checked. And then, but he wasn't sure if they were involved in the fire, they just thought it was out of a kid. It was a
Could have, anybody could
Right,
have run.
it was just to help. But I live at 4821,
oh, okay.
so please investigate that one. I don't know about the other one.
Yeah,
But that, I know they saved the home.
okay.
They
Yeah, actually, yeah, the one that,
The attic had a little place there, had been, of course, repaired it.
yeah, the one,
And then the fire started, from what I understood, in the garage. And that's what set us off, because we heard the little booms.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, are we being attacked? I thought
it was
cars were head-on hitting each other.
Were they like
on
little
Stockton
cans of
Hill.
paint, do they think? Is that what was more? It was like
Or the shocks on the
gas
car.
canisters or something.
Maybe the shocks on the car, I don't know that. I didn't interfere, they were putting the fire out. And then they used, more than water, some kind of foam or something, in addition. And I didn't go to bed until I saw every truck leave at
Yeah, the one-
12:40, make
yeah,
a note of that,
yeah,
12:40.
the part they actually ran out of water on was the statement fire, it wasn't on.
No, but you said they weren't investigated, I think they should be,
Oh,
because.
yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the fire.
Because I'm saying the one on Casey's not.
Okay,
I
yeah,
walked out and talked to him.
yeah, and actually Wayne said that we have this world-renowned kind of fire investigator guy, but I've never met him, I have no idea who he is.
Oh, I've got his name and number, and I'm gonna give
What is this?
Oh, is it Atchison?
Atchison, yeah.
Okay.
I need first.
I didn't, I did see
I
my
spoke to
file.
one of the guys.
Oh, actually, it's in here. Let me see if I can get it.
I think Wayne mentioned it. He did,
Actually, yeah, it's in here.
documents. But I've got his phone number. Now,
Would it
here's,
be the same one as they had back then?
here's the thing. They had a fire investigation. And according to Wayne, this guy called up and said he's writing his dissertation on fire investigation. And I don't know where he's from, but he's somewhere else, and he lives here. And he offered his expertise to come out, and I guess for little or no money.
But I spoke to someone, you guys, I don't think that was their name, and they were believe the investigator.
Could have been,
I can get it for you here real quick, it's right here in the notes. Which actually, all of our oaths of office were actually recorded down at, or actually were on file at the board of supervisors meeting.
to my knowledge, that, maybe we're talking about two different things. This guy was only involved in the arson investigation. as far as
Oh,
I
no,
know.
this wouldn't have been arson.
No, well, that's, so we may be talking about totally
No,
different
this-
situations.
this
This would be the local guy that would just be looking at whatever fire he
It
showed up with.
wasn't arson, that I'm sure, because I did follow up on that.
I don't-
To make sure,
See, that
They
deal was
investigated and
between
determined it was-
Eder and Atchison. And to my knowledge, he was not interacting very much with personnel here. I don't, on other fires, I just don't know, but
I'm just saying, I know there were 5 vehicles.
5 vehicles.
And
Probably had the
big
city
one,
too.
you know,
They had the
I don't
city.
think so, they came up after,
Mike Atchison?
it was Mike,
Okay.
can't remember first. But he'll be able to look at me and recognize me.
Well, we gotta give,
Clothes on, not my pajamas.
I'll get a hold of Tim.
But I
I've got
was
his phone
there,
number,
and maybe, we were all there, we stayed across the street until I wanted to talk to this. The neighbor didn't want to tell him about the kid that ran down the street, or from the garage area. And I said, that's suspicious, you should at least tell them, so they can check it. And he said, I'm not gonna do that. I said, well, I will. But as it turned out, they weren't involved in the fire.
Okay.
I've actually never met the guy, but they say he's actually pretty good.
Well, I spoke
I have no
directly
idea
with
if I never met
him.
him.
Should I just give Tim his number, or do you have his number, or is it in there?
No,
He has
actually,
my
he's mentioned his
information,
name. Okay.
that Mike guy. He
Thank
has
you.
my phone number and everything.
I'll give Tim his number,
Okay.
and he can follow up, because whatever he was doing for Eder, Tim's got to make a decision whether he wants to carry it on.
Okay. And actually, you're allowed to talk to the personnel, you just don't discuss it with the board members and stuff.
Yeah, I understand. In fact, Dave, yeah. Tuesday. I just want to find one of the guys in front of the station over there.
Oh.
Just that,
Yeah, you're allowed to talk to him, that's fine.
All right.
Nice
Take
cord.
care, Carl.
Take
Yeah,
care.
I know.
Cord is a pain in the backside sometimes.
Yeah, it gets tangled up in there.
How you guys doing?
Good, how about you?